Today we are learning how to show functions on a graph. You know that a function is like a machine. You put in an input and you get out an output. Say this function were to add 1. Well, if you took an input of 5, it would add 1 and you'd get an output of 6. Now often we use the letters x to show the inputs and the letters y to show the outputs. This allows us to write functions down. For this function, we could write the output y is equal to the input x plus 1. But today we're going to learn that you can show functions on a coordinate plane. You show functions as a line. The x value, or the x-axis, is just the input to the function, and the y value, or the y-axis, is just the output. Say you had a table of inputs and outputs, and wanted to know the output when your input was 5. Well, you would just have to go to 5 on the x-axis and see where your line is. If you go up to the line, you can see it's right here. It has a y value of 6, so the output here is 6. If you had an input of 3, you would just go to 3 on your x-axis. You'd look up to the line and see that it's right here at a y value of 4. So when the input is 3, the output is 4. Finally, we could look for an input of negative 5. You would just go to negative 5 on your x-axis and go down to the line. We can see that at this point, the line has a y value of negative 4. So if the input is negative 5, the output is negative 4. Let's practice reading functions on a graph together. Here's a coordinate plane, and we'll show a function with this line. Remember that the input will be the x value, and the output will be the y value. To start, let's calculate our function when the input is negative 8. Well, to do this, we'll go to negative 8 on our x-axis. What is the y value here? Well, if you look up to the line, you can see the y value here is a 5. So the output to this function is 5. When the x value is negative 3, what value is the y? Well, if you go to negative 3 on your x-axis, you can look up and see the point on the line has a y value of 3. So when the input is negative 3, the output is positive 3. Finally, let's look for an input of 8. Well, if we go to an 8 on the x-axis, what is our y value? Well, if you look up to the line, you can see this point on the line has a y value of 4. So an input of 8 gives you an output of 4. Now it's time for you to practice on your own. On this coordinate plane is a line showing a function. Start by finding the output when the input is negative 6. Well, if we look at negative 6 on the x-axis, we can go up to our line and see at this point it has a y value of 7. So the output is 7. What is the output if the input is negative 2? Well, at an x value of negative 2, we can see the line has a y value of 6, so the output is 6. What is the output when the input is 6? Well, we go to the input as 6 on the x-axis, and we go up to the line. This point has a y value of 4, so the output is 4. Now here is your last function for today. On the coordinate plane, this line shows a function. Find the output when the input is negative 9. Well, the input is the x-axis, so we'll look for a negative 9 on the x-axis and go up to our function. We see this point has a y value of 4, so the output is 4. What is the output at an input of negative 2? Well, if you look to an x value of negative 2, we see the function at this point has a y value of positive 2, so the output is positive 2. Finally, what is the output for an input of positive 1? Well, at an x value of 1, we can go up to the function and see it's here, with a y value of 6, so the output is 6. From today, remember that the x-coordinates are the inputs to functions, and that y-coordinates are the outputs of functions.